If you've been stuck at the exact same picking speed for months, I need you to hear this. You've probably spent hours, maybe way more than just hours, on picking approaches like pick slanting. So working on the angle of the pick like this, so that your pick escapes from in between the strings with either the downward or upward escape movement. You probably tried to figure out the exact degrees and movements of your wrist angle. You've been debating whether you should play with an open or a closed hand. And I'm not here to tell you that's completely wrong. But I think a lot of players, especially self-taught guitarists, are trying to fine-tune the steering wheel of a car that doesn't have an engine yet. And I recently found the missing piece completely by accident. It wasn't a new slant or angle, it wasn't a completely new exercise. It came out of getting a single string completely dead on an 8-string guitar, and now it completely changed how I think about training speed on the guitar. I'm going to show you exactly what it is. So if you want to find out how I exactly pushed my picking speed to this level, I will show you exactly how you can accomplish that. And by the end of this video, you will have a way to test it yourself. But first, let's quickly talk about why so many players are actually stuck. Because I don't think it's your pick slanting approach at all. So here's the thing that nobody tells you about technical approaches like pick slanting. It optimizes efficiency. So it cleans up your string crossings. It helps with reducing wasted motion. So it makes your picking path smoother, like this. That's real, and of course it matters. But efficiency is not the same as raw speed capacity. You can have the most efficient picking path in the world and still be capped at a certain BPM level, which is probably what's happening to you right now, because the actual engine, so the raw force and control your hand can generate, was never trained directly. That's the part nobody talks about. And it's the part I stumbled into completely by accident. So we were tracking on this 8-string guitar, and we were working on a part where it was really important for that lowest string to be completely dead in the breaks where it's not being played. So we used a common trick for that through the top strings like this, just to completely kill everything above it while we got that mechanical, cool sounding take. But then while the producer was mixing that pass, I was just sitting there messing around on the muted open strings up top, and that's where I noticed it. Every string I touched felt completely stiff, so there's no bring back at all. And while I was playing around like this, I thought, wait a second, this kind of feels exactly like a drum practice pad. Give me 90 seconds, this is going to click. When you mute strings with a cloth like this, you're not just killing the ring, you're completely killing rebound. So the little spring back a string normally gives you after each picking stroke, most of us absolutely never think about this, but that little spring back is quietly assisting your speed every single time you play. It's a little bit like dribbling a basketball very close to the floor. That's how it feels for me when I'm playing very fast alternate picking lines. But if you mute your strings like this, that assist is suddenly gone. So every bit of motion when you try to play fast has to come directly from you. That's the missing piece. It's not a new slant, it's resistance. If you've ever talked to a serious drummer, you know that practice pads are not just for silent practicing. A lot of drummers train deliberately on firmer, deader pads because there's way less rebound compared to a snare head. So why would you train on something harder than your real instrument? Because a lively snare, for example, bails out loose technique. The rebound you get does a lot of the heavy lifting for you, and the complete dead pad or even a pillow gives you completely nothing. Every stroke is generated and controlled completely and only by your hand and wrist. So drummers who train or warm up that way and then switch to their kit often say it feels much easier after that, and it really helps them with building speed. And that's the exact relationship I think cloth muted strings have compared to normal picking. So here's an example of how you can practice this in your routine. I'm just using a regular guitar cleaning cloth. You can use pretty much anything that deadens the strings like this. What I don't want is a cloth that's sticking out like this, so I actually kind of unconsciously move my picking position. I move it right over the first pickup. That way I can normally pick in my regular position. And this is the sound you want. I'm not muting with my fretting hand. I'm really just playing open strings, but they are completely dead and they're extremely stiff compared to the regular open strings. So if this feels too loose or too close to how it normally feels, you need to mute the strings a little bit more. This is a relatively thick cloth. I want them to be completely dead and stiff. And then you want an exercise that actively trains one of your weak spots, like string transitions. When I practice this, I switch between different note values. So for this exercise, I'm starting out with 8th note triplets. And I'm playing one note on the high E string before I switch to the B string immediately. And then I even perform some string skipping and jump to the G string. I immediately notice that I have to work harder because there's zero rebound coming from the string. Then I switch to 16th notes. This will also make you much better at rhythm because you're not doing anything with your fretting hand. You can really just focus on tightly playing this pattern to a metronome. Then in the third measure of the exercise, I switch things up and make it even harder when it comes to the string transitions. So I'm only playing one picking stroke on each string, and then the final measure is the hardest. I'm playing the same pattern again, but in 16th note triplets. So you will focus entirely on generating those clean, even strokes coming from your wrist. When you do this for the first time, you will feel the missing assist immediately. You will run drills like this for 3 to 5 minutes, then you can pull the cloth and you can play the same pattern clean, just picking any notes or arpeggios. Most people notice the same thing I did. The strings feel unusually fast after. Go ahead and try it right now if you have a guitar next to you. It's honestly pretty crazy. Quick pause, because what I'm about to tell you is only available in one place right now. I just built the complete system around everything in this video. I'm calling it the REBOUND method. 6 structured training blocks, 5 days each, 30 days total. A benchmark test on day 1 and day 30, so you see your actual numbers move, not just a feeling. You're never guessing what to practice. Every single day is mapped out for you. Right now, this brand new course is Patreon exclusive. It's not on my site, it's not bundled with anything else. Patreon is the only way in. And because you are watching this early, use code LEVELUP at the checkout for a serious discount on any annual memberships on Patreon. That code is not going to be around indefinitely, so if you've been sitting on the fence about joining my Guitar Academy on Patreon, this is genuinely the moment to move. The link's in the description and in the first comment down below. It takes about 2 minutes and you're straight into day 1 of the course. Okay, back to it. Let's actually map out all 30 days together, because I think seeing this whole system at once is going to make this land even harder. So phase number 1, those first 2 blocks from day 1 to day 10, that's the foundation. That's where we install the raw strength into your picking hand. Day 1 to 5 you will focus on an anchor strike exercise. This is single string alternate picking only. You're repeating the same rhythmic pattern on one string and you just move through the 3 highest strings, but there's no complicated crossing, no fretting hand complexity, just clean resistance-driven strokes. Everything else is built on this first block. Day 6 through 10 is focused on the crossover, and that's the exercise I showed you a bit earlier in this video. The strings are still muted, so you get the same resistance, but now you're crossing between different strings. That's exactly where most pickers lose clean technique, so we train it under resistance early. Then phase number 2 with those next 2 blocks is all about integration. Day 11 to 15 you will work on a pulse ladder exercise. What I mean by that is that you're switching between 16th notes and 16th note triplets again. but this time you're about to synchronize your hands because your fretting hand comes into play. You won't really hear the pitches perfectly when the strings are muted, but I really want you to follow along with the fretting hand for this step, because you don't just want a faster picking technique, you of course want it to be perfectly in sync with what your fretting hand is doing. The next step is going to be about reach, and this is going to be a little bit difficult because this will test whether your gains hold up once both hands have to sync up again, and this time it's with a really tricky string skipping pattern. So you can think of this as another crossover exercise, but it's placed right here because your fretting hand also has to be synchronized. Then phase number 3 with those last 2 blocks, that's the transfer phase. Now we're integrating this into your playing for real. Day 21 to 25 you will work on an actual scale sequence. So this is where it gets really practical. If you're into shredding and fast scale runs, this is what will move the needle the most for you, but it's important to go through the previous steps until you get here. And then, my friend, at the end, this is gonna be all about release, and what that means is that the cloth literally comes off in the last block of this course. And in addition to playing the final exercise in the final chapter, I also want you to go through the previous chapters now that the cloth is off, play it clean at the maximum tempo. So there's a structured benchmark, so you can see exactly where you started against where you land at the end. At the end, if this is the kind of breakdown you want more of, make sure to subscribe to this channel. I'm putting out one of these every single week. And if you want to really integrate this into your playing and take your picking speed to a world-class level in the shortest amount of time possible, the link to the full course is down below. I'm waiting for you on Patreon. See you there.